So what happens when you do something, but you don't say exactly what you mean? It's a surprisingly modern problem, right? Well, we're about to dive into this incredible piece of logic from an ancient text that tackles this exact puzzle.
Okay, so think about this for a second. Let's say you write a check for rent, but you forget to write your landlord's name on it. Is that check still good? Or is the whole thing useless because you didn't specify your intent? This kind of thing, this puzzle of unspecified intent, it's something we actually deal with all the time.
And get this, it turns out this isn't a new problem at all. We're talking ancient legal texts, specifically the Talmud, which is this incredible core text of Jewish law. The sages who wrote it poured so much brain power into this very question. And honestly, the way they figure it out, it's just brilliant. It's a masterclass in legal reasoning.
All right, so our story begins in a place that might sound a little strange. We're starting with a law from the Mishnah, an ancient Jewish legal text, all about animal sacrifices. Now, stick with me here, I know, but this is exactly where the mystery begins. And it all comes down to one thing: intention.
So, there's this key term we absolutely have to know, and it's lishma. It literally translates to for its own sake. And what it means here is that for a ritual to count, you have to have the right intention in your head when you do it. You can't just be, going through the motions. You have to mean it, and you have to mean it for the right purpose.
Okay, so let's break down the basic rule from the Mishnah. For most sacrifices, if someone offers it with the wrong intent, like say they're thinking of it as a peace offering when it's supposed to be a burnt offering, the sacrifice is still considered fit. It's a valid act, but, and this is key, it doesn't actually fulfill their obligation. They'd have to do it again. But there are a couple of big exceptions. For really important ones, like the Passover offering or a sin offering, getting the intent wrong makes the whole thing totally invalid.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Notice what the law doesn't say. It's super specific about what happens if you have the wrong intent. But what if you have, well, no specific intent at all? You just do the action. The incredible implication here is that if you do that, the sacrifice is considered valid and it fulfills your obligation. It's like the system defaults to correct. You got to remember that. This is our first major clue.
Okay, so just when you think we've got a handle on this whole default to correct idea, the Talmud throws a total wrench in the works. It brings up a completely different law, this time about divorce, that seems to run on the exact opposite logic.
See, the rule for a bill of divorce, called a get, is absolutely strict. It has to be written lishma, meaning for her sake. It has to be written with the specific, focused intention of divorcing one particular woman. There is zero ambiguity allowed, no wiggle room at all.
And boom, there it is, the central puzzle. For sacrifices, an act without specific intent is totally valid. But for divorce, an act without specific intent is completely invalid. How can that be? How can the same legal system have two completely opposite rules for what seems like the same basic idea? It's a real paradox.
This is where our hero enters the story, a brilliant 4th century sage named Rava. He's one of the sharpest minds in the entire Talmud, and he's the one who spots this contradiction and decides he's going to solve it. Think of him as our lead detective on the case.
And what's so cool is that the text itself sets this up like a big showdown. It literally says that Rava took these two superior statements, these two powerful but conflicting laws, and he's the one who's going to teach us the resolution. He's about to crack the case wide open.
So how does he do it? What's the secret? We are now at the big reveal. This is Rava's absolutely elegant solution that unlocks this entire puzzle.
And here it is. The breakthrough is a concept Rava introduces called the default state. It's so simple yet so profound. He says, look, an animal that's been designated as an offering, its default purpose is to be sacrificed. But a married woman, her default state is not to be divorced. Her default is to stay married.
This changes everything, doesn't it? For the sacrifice, the action lines up perfectly with its default purpose. So even if you don't say anything, the system just assumes you're doing the right thing. But with divorce, the action goes against the default state of being married. So to override that powerful default, you need an equally powerful and explicit statement of intent. So the law isn't contradictory at all. It's just incredibly smart and sensitive to the reality of the situation.
Now, in the world of Talmudic debate, a brilliant idea is great, but it's not enough. You've got to prove it. The system is all about rigor. So the text doesn't just take Rava's word for it. Nope. It immediately puts his theory to the test. It demands proof for that key assumption he made about sacrifices.
And what follows is just this incredible display of logical thinking. The sages basically ask, okay, Rava, How do we really know that a sacrifice with no specified intent is valid? They try out a few different proofs, they look at the text, but they shoot them all down. Not good enough. But then they find it, the knockout proof. It comes from a totally different ruling, from a sage named Rabbi Yossi. And he says that at one point, the court made a rule that people should not state their intent out loud during the ritual. And why would they do that? Because they were afraid someone would get nervous, say the wrong thing by mistake, and completely ruin the sacrifice.
And that's the clincher. That's the whole ball game. Think about it. A court would never make a rule to protect something if that rule automatically destroyed it. It just doesn't make any sense. If acting without speaking your intent was invalid, then their rule telling people not to speak would make every single sacrifice invalid. The only way their rule makes sense is if the default, acting without any specified intent, is already valid. Rava was right all along.
So this incredible journey through an ancient legal puzzle teaches us something really profound. Intent isn't just about the words you say. It's about how your actions either line up with or push against a default state. And that brings it right back to us today. It makes you wonder, right? What are the unspoken default states that run our own lives? In our laws, our jobs, even our relationships. Is the default to assume good faith in a business deal? Is the default that an employee is happy in their role? This ancient way of thinking is really an invitation to start seeing the hidden logic, the invisible rules that shape our entire world.